So this first sentence is difficult because the subject is here. Arms had been taken up, ablative agent, by the Romans against the Carthaginians, relative clause, who, this is subject, inhabited, lived in a part of Africa. Regulus, leader or general of the Romans, this is in a positive, renaming Regulus, with ablative absolute, with command having been received, sailed to Africa and conquered the enemies. He sent, so again, he sent, the subject's in the verb, he sent literally many thousands of captives, but you can just say many thousands, or many thousand captives, into Italy. But he himself, ablative absolute, with this difficult work not being finished or completed, remained in Africa. He fighting, this is a present active participle, he fighting against, and it's also my subject, he fighting against 3 Carthaginian leaders, so 3 Carthaginian leaders, was the victor. The enemies, oops, that's the subject, the enemies, PPP, having been pressed by the Romans, sought peace. Now this quam here is interesting. This is a pronoun that referring to the idea of the previous sentence. And so this is referring to that which is the peace. So this refers to the peace. So we'll get to this in a second. We'll start with this one. Regulus said, indirect statement, that he, reflexive going back to Regulus, he would give, and now we'll use that, he would give that peace with the most harshest conditions. And so, the Carthaginians sought the aid from the Macedonians, who lived in Greece. The leader who had been sent by the Macedonians, and this is also another word for Spartans, I can call them Spartans as well, proceeded with 4,000 soldiers and 100 elephants against the Romans. With the Romans, ablative absolutes, having been conquered, Regulus was captured. Regulus remained in Africa, but this is an ablative time. In the 4th year, the Carthaginians, PPP, pressed severely, this is an adverb, sent him, referring to Regulus, to the city Rome. They ordered him to obtain peace from the Romans and to make an exchange of prisoners. He said, so this is an indirect statement with an ablative absolute. With peace having not been made, he himself would return to them. Those men, they believed in this indirect statement that he would surrender himself. And so Regulus arrived into Italy. This is a PPP, but it's also the subject. He led into the Senate, or into the Roman Senate, said, in direct statement, that he himself was a prisoner, no longer a Roman. And so, he even removed his wife from himself, who, referring back to the wife, who had caught sight of him and had run to him. So he also removed his wife, who had caught sight of him and run to him from himself. He said, another indirect statement, that the enemies broken, another PPP, broken by many battles, ablative agent, had no hope except unless in peace. And this is difficult, it is not useful to return, send back many thousands of captives for he himself alone. And this is referred to him exhausted, this is a PPP, exhausted by age. So he's an old man now. So I'll do that sentence again, because that's a difficult one. So he said that the enemies, broken by many battles, had no hope except in peace. He continues to say, it is not useful to send back many thousands of captives to the enemy for himself one. So for he himself, one, exhausted by age. So for he himself, one who is exhausted by age or completed by age. He explained, we ought not to buy Roman captives with gold, for their virtue was lost, nor is real, true virtue able to be bought with gold. The Senate, PPP, having been moved by this plan, never given, another PPP, going back to plan, never given before, so never and before. So the Senate, and then this moved thoroughly by this plan, never given before, did not make peace with the enemy. And so Regulus, with ablative absolute, with his work completed, did not deceive the Carthaginians, but he returned into Africa, and he surrendered himself to the Carthaginians, by which, or by whom, ablative agent, he was killed by all punishments. So it's saying that he was tortured to death. So by which, or by whom, for the Carthaginians, he was killed by all punishments. Afterwards, the Romans granted honors dative to him. These things are said to have happened, ablative of time, in the First Punic War. Afterwards, the Romans, ablative with peace having been broken, waged 2 other wars with the same enemy and increased their power, their command, most greatly, adverb, or their own power and command most greatly.